Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our cozy corner of English stories. Today, we have a story that many of us might find familiar. It's about friendship, time, and the quiet, often sad, process of growing apart. Let's begin. The old coffee shop smelled the same as it always had, like roasted beans and warm sugar. It was a scent that used to feel like home to me and Clara. We had spent countless hours in this very booth, whispering secrets, laughing until our sides hurt, and planning futures that were always intertwined. But today, the familiar smell felt different, almost like a memory I couldn't quite grasp. Clara stirred her latte, the tiny clink of the spoon against the ceramic mug the only sound between us. We used to have so much to say that we'd interrupt each other, eager to share every little detail of our lives. Now, silence stretched between us, thick and uncomfortable. "So," she said finally, looking up. Her eyes, once so full of shared mischief, now held a polite distance. "How is the new job?" "It's good," I replied, my voice sounding unnaturally cheerful. "Busy, lots to learn. How about your pottery classes?" "Oh, they're great. I actually sold a few pieces at the local market last weekend." "Wow, Clara, that's amazing. You have to show me pictures." She smiled, a genuine but brief flash of the old Clara. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through some photos. I looked at the beautiful vases and bowls, their earthy colors and unique shapes. They were incredible, a testament to a passion she had discovered long after our high school days. I felt a pang of something I couldn't name. It was pride, yes, but also a sense of distance. This was a part of her life I only knew through a screen. We met in kindergarten. I was crying because I dropped my ice cream, and she, with her two bright pigtails, offered me half of her sandwich. From that day on, we were inseparable. We navigated the treacherous waters of middle school together, survived the drama of high school proms, and even went to the same university, though we chose different majors. Our friendship felt like a solid ground beneath our feet as everything else in our lives shifted and changed. After graduation, life began to pull us in different directions. I took a demanding corporate job in the city center with long hours and a hectic schedule. Clara, on the other hand, chose a quieter path. She moved to a small cottage on the outskirts of town, started gardening, and discovered her love for pottery. At first, we tried to keep up. We had our weekly phone calls, our monthly coffee dates. But slowly, things started to change. Weekly became when we can, and monthly became we should do that soon. My stories were about office politics and project deadlines. Hers were about the challenges of a new glazing technique or the joy of harvesting her own tomatoes. It was like we were learning to speak different languages. The silences during our conversations grew longer. We had less in common to talk about. The shared experiences that had bonded us for so long were now in the past, and we were struggling to build new ones. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just life. Back in the coffee shop, after looking at our pottery pictures, the conversation stalled again. I searched for something to say, something that could bridge the gap that had grown between us. "Do you remember that time we tried to bake a cake for your mom's birthday?" I asked, a fond memory bubbling up. Clara's face softened, and a real, genuine laugh escaped her lips. "Oh my goodness, yes, we used salt instead of sugar. It was the worst thing I've ever tasted. Your dad pretended to like it." I laughed along with her. He took one bite, his face went all strange, and he said, "Interesting flavor, girls." "Very savory." For a few minutes, we were the old us again, lost in a sea of shared memories. We talked about our disastrous camping trip, the time we got lost on the subway in the city, and the boy band we were obsessed with in 8th grade. It was easy, it was comfortable, it was familiar. But then the laughter faded and the silence returned. The past was a beautiful, safe place for us, but we couldn't live there. The present was where we were strangers. Claire checked her watch. "I should probably get going," she said softly. "I have to pick up some clay before the shop closes." "Oh, of course," I said, trying to keep the disappointment out of my voice. "No problem." We stood up and walked to the door. The hug we shared was brief, more of a habit than a heartfelt embrace. "We should do this again soon," she said, the familiar, empty phrase we always used. Definitely, I replied, knowing we probably wouldn't. As I watched her walk away, her figure getting smaller and smaller down the street, a wave of sadness washed over me. It wasn't a loud, dramatic grief, but a quiet, aching sorrow. It was the realization that some things, no matter how much you cherish them, simply come to an end. People grow, people change. And sometimes they grow in directions that lead them away from each other. It's a natural part of life, like the changing of the seasons. Our friendship hadn't ended in a big fight or a dramatic betrayal. It had just faded. Like a photograph left out in the sun for too long, the vibrant colors had slowly bleached away, leaving only a faint outline of what used to be. Walking back to my car, I didn't feel angry or bitter. I just felt a profound sense of loss for the girl who shared her sandwich with me, for the teenager who held my hand through every crisis, for the friend who was once my other half. I realized that growing apart doesn't mean the friendship wasn't real or important. Our bond had shaped who I was. The memories were still precious, and I would carry them with me always. They were a part of my story. Maybe some friendships are meant to be for a season, not a lifetime. They teach us, support us, and help us grow, and then we have to let them go. It's painful, but it's also okay. It makes space for new connections, for new versions of ourselves to emerge. As I drove home, the city lights blurring past my window, I sent Clara a text. It didn't say we should do this again soon. Instead, I wrote, thinking about that salt cake. Thanks for all the laughs over the years. I'm so incredibly proud of the artist you've become. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was a reply from Clara. I am too. Thanks for everything, always. And with that, there was a sense of peace. It wasn't a goodbye, but an acceptance. An acknowledgement of the beautiful chapter we had shared, and a quiet turning of the page to what comes next. Our paths might be different now, but we would always be a part of each other's journey. And that, I thought, was a beautiful thing in itself. Thank you for listening to this story with me. It's a reminder that change is a natural part of life, and even when friendships evolve or end, the love and memories remain. If you enjoyed our time together, please consider subscribing for more cozy stories. Until next time, take care.